Ranking the last 10 Stanley Cup Finals, this is part 2. At 5, it's the 2015 Stanley Cup Final. This series featured the Chicago Blackhawks, who were looking for their third Stanley Cup in 6 seasons, going up against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who were the new kids on the block at the time. They had a very young and exciting hockey team. It was a very exciting and back-and-forth series, as Chicago won the opening game on the road. Tampa would win the next 2 games to take a 2-1 lead. Then Chicago would win the next 3 to close out the series and win the Stanley Cup. Each game in this series was decided by 1 goal, except for the last game of the series, which was a 2-0 Chicago win. At number 4, it's the 2018 Stanley Cup Final. If you're looking purely at storylines, this is one of the best on this list. You had the Washington Capitals going for their first Stanley Cup in franchise history, led by Alexander Ovechkin, who was playing in the first Stanley Cup final of his career, going up against the Vegas Golden Knights, who were in their inaugural season and shocked the world by making it to the Stanley Cup final. Almost every game in this series had you on the edge of your seat. The Golden Knights won Game 1, but the series flipped in Game 2 when Braden Holtby made the save of his life. Washington won the next 4 games, and the final moment of the series was the most memorable, as Alexander Ovechkin celebrated with the Stanley Cup. At the 3 spot, I've got the 2022 Stanley Cup Final. What made this matchup so exciting was that it was clearly the best 2 teams in the league at the time facing off in the Stanley Cup Final. You had the Tampa Bay Lightning looking to win their 3rd straight Stanley Cup, going up against a loaded Colorado Avalanche team led by Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. Aside from Games 2 and 3, which were blowouts, it was a very exciting and tense series, as the Avalanche won in 6, capturing their 3rd Stanley Cup in franchise history, with a 2-1 win on the road. At second, I've got the 2019 Stanley Cup Final. On one side, you had the Boston Bruins, who were so consistently good for so long, going up against the St. Louis Blues, who were looking to win their first Stanley Cup in over 50 years of existence. Blues would win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history in a 7-game series that was thrilling and physical. If you ever want to try and get someone who doesn't watch hockey to watch this sport, show them the Torrey Krug hit from Game 1 where he went flying down the ice. It was insane. And at number 1, it's the 2024 Stanley Cup Final. On one side, you had the Oilers led by McDavid and Draisaitl. On the other side, you had a very deep Panthers team that had unfinished business from the year before. The Panthers looked dominant as they took a 3-0 series lead. Edmonton would win the next 3 games to force Game 7, which was unbelievable, as the Panthers won at home by a score of 2-1 in what was a very tight checking game to win the Stanley Cup. But as always, leave a like, drop a follow on the Armchair Athletes, and let me know in the comments what your favorite final is from the last 10 years.